Hey folks, strap in, because we're about to dive headfirst into the neon-lit, blood-splattered chaos that is Bullet Train. Yup, this is that 2022 flick, with Brad Pitt playing the unluckiest hitman in a speeding tube of madness. And let me just get this out of the way. If you thought Hollywood was dead and buried under a pile of forgettable CGI-laden preachy blah blah blah, well then Bullet Train is the antidote we all needed but didn't know we wanted. So, grab your popcorn, crack open that beer, and let's take a joyride down the bloody, sarcastic, and batshit crazy tracks of what I can confidently call an underrated gem of an action movie. You know, the kind of movie that doesn't give a damn about safe storytelling, politically correct villains, or woke narratives. Nah, this flick punches you in the face with a smile, and it feels damn good. The premise of Bullet Train is simple. If you're high, take a bunch of colorful, hyper-violent, and ridiculous assassins, throw them all into a Japanese bullet train, and let them try to kill each other for 2 hours while trying to keep their designer suits bloodstain-free. Yeah, it's a bit like if Quentin Tarantino, Guy Ritchie, and a coked-up raccoon had a threesome, and the baby was this movie. The plot doesn't need to make perfect sense, because you're too busy laughing your ass off and admiring the sheer insanity on screen. Brad Pitt plays Ladybug, a hitman with a streak of bad luck so rotten it makes Murphy's Law look like a suggestion. He's trying to do a simple snatch and grab job on a train, but of course, nothing goes as planned. And when I say nothing, I mean there are literal explosions, bloody samurai sword fights, and snake venom, all while you're crammed in a tiny steel box going 200 miles per hour. Oh yeah, and there's a briefcase that everyone wants, because why the hell not? The cast of crazy. Where the hell did they find these guys? Let's talk about the lineup of absolute psychos they squeezed into this train. It's like someone held a casting call for people you would least like to be stuck with in a confined space, and somehow, they all showed up. Brad Pitt as Ladybug. Look, I love how Pitt just leans into the absolute absurdity of this role. He's like a Zen monk with a gun, spewing out pseudo-philosophical nonsense while he's breaking noses and dodging bullets. It's refreshing to see him embrace this goofball energy while kicking ass. The man is like a discount Buddha with brass knuckles, and he's having a blast. Tangerine and Lemon, played by Aaron Taylor-Johnson and Brian Tyree Henry. These two are easily the highlight of the movie, and if you don't agree, you're probably dead inside. A British duo with a bromance that rivals the greats, like Butch and Sundance, or hell, even Shrek and Donkey. Their chemistry is off the charts, and the banter between them is gold. Lemon's obsession with Thomas the Tank Engine as a guide to understanding human behavior? Pure, unadulterated genius. The whole thing's so bonkers, it somehow makes sense in the world of this movie. Let's not forget the lethal Yakuza princess with a vendetta, the masked Mexican hitman called the Wolf, a lethal schoolgirl with more tricks up her sailor uniform than Houdini, and the Elder, a man who can slit your throat before you can say, "Excuse me, sir." This ensemble is a fever dream of caricatures, and that's exactly why it works. The action. Yeah, it's violent, and yeah, it's awesome. If you're the kind of person who complains about too much violence in movies, then you probably hate fun too. Because Bullet Train delivers the kind of bloody, over-the-top action that makes you want to punch the air in excitement, or at least slap your buddy on the back and say, "Hell yeah!" The fights are glorious. I mean, who knew you could use a water bottle as a deadly weapon in a brawl? Or that a simple briefcase can double as a skull crusher? The fight choreography is slick and inventive, with a mix of brutal hand-to-hand combat and acrobatic shenanigans that makes every sequence feel fresh and exciting. Brad Pitt's character fights with the attitude of a guy who just got out of therapy and is desperately trying to turn over a new leaf, while still racking up a body count. Bullet Train doesn't abuse CGI like it's a sugar-high 5-year-old with a bowl of Skittles. When stuff blows up, it looks damn good. When bones break, you feel it. This isn't your soulless green screen extravaganza. It's all about practical effects, and boy, do they deliver. This movie is unapologetically gritty, raw, and gloriously unfiltered. If you love dark comedy that teeters on the edge of, wow, did they really just say that? You're in for a treat. This movie is packed with one-liners that hit you like a sledgehammer to the funny bone. I found myself chuckling at the sheer audacity of it all, from characters nonchalantly discussing murder methods to the unrelenting stream of sarcastic comebacks. Brad Pitt's deadpan delivery. I can't overstate how good Pitt is at playing the bewildered guy who's trying to make sense of the madness while not getting shot in the face. Every other line out of his mouth is dripping with irony, as if he's on the verge of cracking up himself. The banter. There's a chemistry here that you just don't see in the sanitized, committee-approved drivel that's been pouring out of Hollywood. These characters are cursing, backstabbing, and joking with an authenticity that feels like they actually want to murder each other, and that's what makes it work. The plot, a crazy mess, but that's the point. Okay, let's get real. If you're looking for a tight, coherent plot that makes sense when you pause and think about it, then Bullet Train might make your head explode. It's a tangled web of backstories, betrayals, and double crosses that you need a diagram to follow. But honestly, who cares? It's not about the destination, pun intended. It's about the wild ride to get there. And yes, there's a deeper meaning here if you're the type who likes to overanalyze things. Something about fate, luck, karma, blah blah blah. But let's be real. You came to see Brad Pitt punch someone with a metal briefcase, and that's exactly what you get. The plot is a sandbox of chaos, and the movie knows it. It doesn't try to be anything more than what it is. An unapologetically fun, self-aware action flick with enough twists to make your neck hurt. The soundtrack is an eclectic mix of Japanese pop, classic rock, and insane remixes that feel both out of place and exactly right. The music cues are so spot on, they almost feel like a punchline themselves. There's a point where Staying Alive is blasting while a fight to the death goes down in a tiny train compartment, and it's so ludicrous you can't help but love it. It's the kind of movie where the soundtrack feels like another character, a slightly drunk, half-crazy character who doesn't know when to stop. Now, I hear you. This sounds like an 80s fever dream, so why isn't it more popular? Great question. And the answer lies in the fact that Bullet Train doesn't cater to the kind of Hollywood crowd that's all about prestige drama, artistic metaphors, or important messaging. No, this movie is a middle finger to all of that. It's a throwback to the days when action movies were fun. You know, back when characters were more likely to shoot you than lecture you on morality. Hollywood has gotten so bogged down in ticking off diversity checkboxes and trying to appease everyone that it's forgotten how to entertain. Enter Bullet Train, a movie that doesn't give a damn about holding your hand or giving you a soft landing. It's here to kick you in the teeth, throw you a snarky one-liner, and let you laugh while the world burns. If you miss the days of Die Hard, Lethal Weapon, and Snatch, you're going to feel right at home with Bullet Train. It's a blast of fresh air in a sea of bland, safe, and utterly boring blockbusters that take themselves way too seriously. This movie is having the time of its life, and it wants you to come along for the ride.